Welcome to the balance update happening October 18th. The Madman! On the whole, there are fewer balance updates than some would be hoping for. By the numbers, this is a really balanced meta. I mean, look at all those decks that are possible. The balance is good. There's a lot of variety. That said though, after reviewing the actual balance changes, I will address the elephant in the room. What card should have been changed that wasn't changed? Change number 1, Giggling Inventor. Will cost 7 mana, up from 5. Oh my god. Now worth mentioning, in the blog post, Blizzard did say they tested it at 6 mana as well and found it still too powerful at 6 mana. Why? Because possibly even decks is my theory. The reason you can't really mess with the stats is because, again, of Quest Rogue. It's always just going to be a 4-4, which summons 2/4/4 Taunt Divine Shields, and obviously you can't change the Neutron stats because that's iconic. If at 6 mana it's overpowered in even decks, you have to make it 7 mana, as ridiculous as it looks. So Giggling Inventor joins the ranks of Dr. 7. Could Giggling Inventor's stats have been changed while keeping the heart of the card still? Absolutely. Couldn't we change it to a 7 mana 3/3, a 7 mana 4/3, something like that? Absolutely. Would I be in support of that? Yes. Oh well, instead, we are just...
Tries one! Deep left field! That goes Upton! Back near the wall! It's out of here! The impossible has happened!
Home run! Whacked it with the Nerf bat. Next up, Mana Wyrm. Cost 2 mana, up from 1. Doubling the cost of Mana Wyrm, making it so you can't play it on turn 1, you have to play it on turn 2, which means you skip your Arcanologist or your Sorcerer's Apprentice and Tempo Mage. And I've recently had a lot of videos in which I go on a ridiculous win streak with Tempo Mage, mostly on the back of playing turn 1 Mana Wyrm. So can I understand this nerf? Absolutely. Is this nerf good for the game? I think so also, because it is not healthy for a game to be decided that early on. That said, is this overdoing it? A lot of people have been suggesting a 1 mana 1/2 Mana Wyrm instead. But no, instead we're getting it to the 2 mana period. There's just way too many cards for Mage at 2 mana for this to be considered, I'd say. Between Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Arcanologist, and heck, even Amani Berserker. Not going to fit that spot, I'd say. So this is a huge hit to Tempo Mage, which is a huge buff to Quest Rogue, but Quest Rogue got hit with the Giggling Inventor nerf. And you know what? It's possible that this Mana Wyrm change was held off on because Quest Rogue was so dominant even in Legend, and Tempo Mage kind of rose to take it down. The polarizing matchup between Tempo Mage versus Quest Rogue was so big. I think there were numbers around the range of 90% Tempo Mage wins. Final nerf, Aviana. Cost 10 mana up from 9, which is a really significant change because normally you wouldn't care that much for nerfing a 9 mana card to 10, but this one was specifically, you play Aviana, and then you play a 1 mana minion, which costs like normally 10 mana Coon, in order to refresh all your mana crystals, and then you have 10 mana and all of your minions cost 1. Now with Aviana costing 10, it'll be much more difficult to pull off that combo. Also, Juicy Psych Melon no longer draws both Aviana and Coon, which is a big deal. Aviana does limit a lot of design space because Aviana Coon is always a looming specter in Wild. Eventually, this was going to break something, might as well change it now. And finally, last but not least, we cover cards that possibly should have been nerfed, which I'm sure Blizzard considered. So it's clear that Druid is played a lot at Legend. It's not just at Legend, across all ranks, Druid does have the second most played rate. But note, this is the second most, it's not by far the first most like everyone thinks it is. But the main problem, I'd say, is Druid has felt the same for this expansion as well as last expansion, and I think the big fear is the next expansion is not going to shake things up enough, because even if Druid gets nothing, it's really hard to imagine something toppling all of these Druid decks. So I think a valid fear is one entire 12-month period of Druidstone. So it feels like somewhere between Wild Growth, which is a core card which might limit design space just because it is also a high rolly card, and Spreading Plague, the most complained about card. It's just such a feels bad card, and also the Hearthstone team has acknowledged that one of Druid's weaknesses should be dealing with wide boards. They shouldn't have strong AoE. I'd say if I were the Hearthstone team here, I probably would have hit Spreading Plague to 7 mana. And the reason for that is just to shake things up a bit. Some people want to shake things up for the sake of shaking things up, which might not be good. There's some problems with that mentality, but when we're nearing about 7 months of the same Druid, like that might be time to start shaking things up. So again, I want to emphasize we are in a healthy meta. There are a lot of viable decks out there. One of the most all classes are represented metas, split fairly evenly. But perhaps the big miss here is just that the meta has been the meta for both this expansion cycle as well as the last expansion cycle, with not that many changes. I think a lot of people were hoping for a bigger shakeup than this. There's still a chance to shake things up for the next expansion, and possibly right before the expansion, maybe there's our Druid change to not introduce us to a year of the same meta.